Hi, I'm Erin Randolph from QED Energy Associates, and this QED Quick Start is on importing information from outside sources into PHDwin V3. So earlier today, I exported well information from well database, and it exported this file that has a file extension WDB. I want to create a brand new from scratch PHDwin V3 database utilizing these 53 cases that I exported. So when I log into V3, I want to create a new database. I'm going to call it demo. So now that I have my empty shell file, I'm going to import the information that was exported from well database. So I'm going to go to add import on the home tab, and I'm going to select import from the drop-down list. Next, I'm going to browse to the location where my exported information is saved. Select that file and click open. PHDwin V3 can auto-fit to the historical production, make auto-fit forecasts. So you can turn that off or on here on this window, and then give some forecasting parameters if you want to. Just going to change a few parameters here. I'm going to click import. On this next window, here we have some options about what we do want to import and what we don't. I'm going to apply all the default options. All right, here are my 53 cases that I exported from my external source. I can change my view. And we can see that PHDwin auto-forecasted based on the historical production that was imported. We've got all of the general info, its assigned ID codes to the case as well. And then we can go through and we can add prices and all of that good stuff. So that's how you import from a public data source. So that was the first of two types of imports that I'm going to show you today. The second is when we have the situation where we're working in a database and at some point somebody sends us a spreadsheet and says, here are the corrected production volumes. And maybe there are some more volumes to add on to your database. So I have an example of a spreadsheet like that, where I've got a case and I've got the corrected volumes. And then I have some additional months for this case. I'm going to open up that database now. So I'm going to change from this database to my PHDwin Week 2024 database. So this is my case. It has history through April 2024, but some of that history, needs to be updated. And then also in our spreadsheet, we have a few additional months. We've got May, June, and July to add on to this case. So when you're setting up your CSV file, you want to make sure you have a unique identifier as a part of one of the columns in your spreadsheet. So I'm using the case ID, which is unique within PHDwin V3. I also need to include the date the production occurred, as well as the volumes for each of those months. I also have case name, but that's not necessary. All right, so when I import, I'm going to again go to that add import. Click import. This time I'm going to select my CSV file. And then I'm going to select some options down below. We need to select the ID code for our import, primary import ID. Like I said, I'm using the case ID, but you can use any unique identifier that is a part of your database. next I need to map the information. So on the right-hand side, I can see each column in my spreadsheet. And then in this column called PHDwin field, this is where I make my map. I tell PHDwin where to put the information within PHDwin V3. All right, so I have production volumes, so I'm going to expand production volumes. The date is called, I'm just going to make this window a little bit bigger so I can see all of my options. So I've got production date, so I'm going to grab production date and I'm going to drop it next to date. So it's going to map the date column in my Excel spreadsheet with this thing called production date in PHDwin. Gas production prod date, I'm going to drop next to the gas column. Oil production date. Water production date. Well count. And then days on here, drag that over. Next, I'm going to click on overwrite properties, and I have some choices here to make. I can clear everything, like all of the history for the wells included in my CSV, and then have it just rewrite with what's in the CSV file. That's this first column called clear, then import. Or I can select replace overlapping. So for months that already exist on the case, it would replace those. But if the months are not included in my workbook, in my CSV, then it will not overwrite those values. And actually in our test case, the history goes back to 2014, but my CSV file starts in 2022. So I want to keep all the history between 2014 and 2022. So I do not want to clear. I do want to replace overlapping. That's also going to append new information that's in the CSV that's not already in PHDwin. The third option is to only append new information. So those additional couple of months, I could select to just import those 3 months and not change the other months that are in the CSV. And then the fourth option is to not import any of the information at all. So I want to replace overlapping. I'm going to click apply and then import. And then the case refreshed, and you can see that we now have history past April. We have the May, the June, and the July, and the values from February 2022 through July 2024 have updated. So that's how you do an CSV import in PHDwin V3.